Barcelona beat Leganés thanks to an own goal by Jorge Sainz, continuing their spectacular 2025. Real Madrid remain 4 points off the top spot with their victory over Alaves, as Camavinga hits the winner. And Sevilla dispense with coach Xavi Garcia-Pimienta after a loss to a resurgent Valencia. These are the weekend results from Matchday 31 of the LaLiga EA Sports season, a matchday that began with Valencia's vital 1-0 victory over Sevilla. From there, Barcelona won 1-0 on the road against Leganés. Real Madrid also 1-0 winners away from home against Alaves, whilst Villarreal bested Real Betis 2-1 at the Benito Villamarin. There was a 3-1 win for Athletic Club against Rayo Vallecano, and the matchday comes to an end on Monday night with Atletico Madrid against Valladolid. Barcelona remain top of the table with a 4-point lead over Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid and Athletic Club complete the top 4, whilst the top 7 is rounded off by Villarreal, Real Betis and Celta Vigo. At the bottom it's Valladolid, Leganés and Las Palmas in the relegation zone.
Barcelona have gone 12 league games without defeat after earning all 3 points at Butarque. They were able to beat Leganés by a solitary goal, which was an own goal that came after half-time. In the first half, Borja Jiménez's side asked big questions of the league leaders. Adrià Altimira had a wonderful chance to open the scoring on 13 minutes. He was denied by Szczesny. At the other end, Jules Koundé came close to finding the score sheet, but his deflected effort was tipped around the post by Marko Dimitrovic, who had performed so well when Leganés beat Barcelona earlier on this season. After half an hour, Lamine Yamal hit the side netting. Hansi Flick's side was struggling to break through a solid Lega defence, and they suffered a setback when Balde went off injured before half-time, replaced by Gerard Martín. Lega's top goal scorer, Dani Rabah, had a chance to put the hosts in front. He couldn't take that chance, having been teed up by Jan Diomande. And then in stoppage time at the end of the first half, Rafinha made a brilliant challenge to help keep Leganés at bay. Rossier to Altimira, who centred for Rabah, and Rafinha defended absolutely brilliantly. After half-time, the league leaders went in front. Rafinha's cross turned in by defender Jorge Sainz. An own goal with 47 minutes played, and this proved to be the only goal. Gerard Martín had won possession. Rafinha crossed towards Lewandowski, and Sainz was unfortunate. Barcelona never found a second goal. They came so close through Fermín López, who seemed to have done the hard part with his jinking, skillful run. But he dragged his finish wide, and Leganés still had hope of finding an equaliser. Barcelona then missed the target when Lewandowski headed wide before Lamine Yamal fired straight at Dimitrovic. It remained 1-0 at this stage, and relegation threatened Leganés. Thought they'd equalised through Rabah, with 20 minutes to play, but he was offside. Up went the flag, and this goal didn't stand. There was then a glorious chance for substitute Diego Garcia. Teed up by Juan Cruz. He sent his effort wide. Substitute Ferran Torres hit the target for Barcelona, who never found that second goal. Sáenz almost scored a second own goal. The ball bounced off him and just wide. With 9 minutes remaining, there was a late yellow card for Dani Rabah, who will now serve a one-match suspension and miss the trip to Mallorca. And Barcelona had to dig deep. They had a really nervous moment in stoppage time at the end of the match. Munir threw on goal, and Íñigo Martínez with a monumental challenge to help keep the clean sheet. It finished at Butarque, Leganés 0, Barcelona 1.
Kylian Mbappé was sent off at Mendizorroza, but Eduardo Camavinga's goal was enough to give Real Madrid all 3 points against Alaves. Davide Ancelotti was on the touchline. Carlo Ancelotti serving a one-match touchline ban. Early chance for Real Madrid with the ball over the top for Arda Güler. He doesn't make the best of the opportunity. No foul from Jesus Awano, and a missed chance for Madrid to take an early lead. Güler starting up front with Mbappé and Rodrigo. Vinicius and Bellingham both rested on the bench. Asensio thought he'd scored his first goal in a Real Madrid shirt from a corner, but the goal would be ruled out. Rudiger backing into Awano, knocking him over, and the foul given instead of the goal once referee César Sotogrado had checked it pitch side. Real Madrid would take the first half lead though, and it was Eduardo Camavinga who got the goal. It's been a while since he scored. You have to go right the way back to March 2022 for his last goal. It was a very good team move. Güler, Camavinga, Valverde, and Camavinga with the shot bent around the dive of Jesus Awano. So 1-0 to Real Madrid. Alaves kept going forward. Carlos Vicente was very lively down the right wing for them, and that was his cross shot that fizzed just past Courtois' post. Then came the moment that we thought might change the game. It's a dreadful challenge from Mbappé. You can see the reaction from Gian Jordan, who's seen it close up and knows how bad it is. At first, the yellow card comes out, but once Jesus Gil Manzano, the video-assisted referee, alerts César Sotogrado, he comes across to look at it again. There can only be one decision. It has to be red. Mbappé off down the tunnel. No long-term damage done to Blanco. But an awful, awful challenge from Mbappé. So 10 against 11, and it was that way until midway through the second half when substitute Vinicius was fouled by Manu Sanchez, and it was the same story. It was checked pitch side, and the referee deciding that another red card was due. Not quite as bad as the Mbappé one, but all the same a sending off. And so we were back to the same number of players on both sides. 10 against 10. You can see Eduardo Caudet in the background there with his head in his hands. He knows that it will be much harder for Alaves to come back into the game now that it's 10 against 10. Real Madrid had their opportunities to score a second. Fede Valverde with this shot just wide of Awano's goal. And there was another chance for man of the match Camavinga as well. Abka sliding in. He pulled a hamstring in the process, making the block. He was unable to continue. Moussa Diarra came on in his place. Alaves were caught playing the ball between central defenders here. Vinicius and Bellingham combining. And Bellingham's shot draws a fine save from Jesus Awano. Real Madrid kept going in search of the second goal despite the one goal advantage. And that is the way it ended in Mendizorroza. The final score, Alaves 0, Real Madrid 1.
Matchday 31 in La Liga. EA Sports brought us the game between Athletic Club and Rayo Vallecano at San Mamés. Both sides needing 3 points coming into this one. Athletic Club because they had drawn quite a few of their most recent games. Rayo had only won 1 of their previous 7 ahead of this trip to Bilbao. They were the better side in the first half, the visitors. Pedro Diaz with the first chance, but only putting it wide of the target. Gorka Guruceta did the same at the other end minutes later. Rayo Vallecano were awarded a penalty with 10 minutes left to play in the half following this half volley effort from Alvaro Garcia. Once he'd let fly on the shot, he was actually caught in the thigh by Dani Vivian. Initially, the referee did not give a penalty. And after a VAR check, and Alvaro Garcia showing the referee that the studs of Dani Vivian had clearly caught his thigh, it was overturned and penalty was given. Up stepped Pedro Diaz, but he had his penalty kept out by Unai Simon, only for Pathethis to score the rebound. Pedro Diaz had scored 3 of Rayo Vallecano's 5 goals ahead of this game. All 3 from outside the box, and this time from inside the penalty area. He was unable to beat Unai Simon. Luckily for him, Pathethis was there to save his blushes and give Rayo the lead in La Catedral. Marwan Sanadi in the second half was then brought down by Espino, and after another VAR check, it was a penalty given for Athletic Club. Sanadi and Sanset were brought on at half-time, and it was Sanset to dispatch the penalty to make it 1-1. Very well taken penalty by Sanset. Goal number 14 for him in La Liga EA Sports. Iñaki Williams was also brought on in the second period. Here he would set up Marwan Sanadi, who just hit the side netting in an attempt to give his side the lead. There was a shout for a penalty again for Rayo as Unai Lopez went down in the box following a good save from Unai Simon to deny Alvaro Garcia, but the referee said there was no contact, and it was indeed the right decision. Iñaki Williams got on the end of this corner from his younger brother Nico, who would also come onto the pitch. The referee claimed that Iñaki Williams' header came off the back of Espino and another corner was given. And from that corner, Nico Williams did this. What an unbelievable goal that is. A lovely left-footed strike with 10 minutes left to play to give Athletic Club the lead at San Mamés. His 5th goal of the season in La Liga. He's now equaled his tally from the entirety of last season, but he probably won't score a better goal than that this term. Chances kept on coming from the home side as they looked to kill off the game. Marwan Sanadi from long range tried his luck, but could not find the top corner. Next up, it was Jaureguizar on target, but a bit of a tame effort in terms of power. Augusto Batalla was able to keep the scoreline at 2-1, but only for a few more minutes, as Oscar Valentin would go on to have his pocket picked here by Jaureguizar, and Marwan Sanadi would set up Ollán Sanset, who from outside the box left Augusto Batalla rooted to his line and put the ball in the top corner to secure all 3 points for the hosts. Goal number 15 this season for Ollán Sanset. He scored 2 off the bench against Rayo in the first game between these two back in Madrid in December. He scored another 2 off the bench, this time in Bilbao, to make it 3-1 for Athletic Club against Rayo.
Athletic Club completed a great comeback against Rayo Vallecano, which moved them closer to 4th place. Victory wasn't completely sealed until the final minutes, when Oyan Sunset scored with a work of art. In added time, Sanadi connected with Sunset on the edge of the box, and the number 8 pulled a delightful strike into the top corner past goalkeeper Augusto Batalla. Victorious at San Mamés, Athletic Club were inspired by Oyan Sunset, scorer of the best goal of Matchday 31 in LaLiga EA Sports.
Matchday 31 saw a huge 6-pointer at the Benito Villamarín. As Real Betis hosted Villarreal, it was 5th against 6th. Potential Champions League place at the end of the season in play between these two sides. And it was the home side who got off to the perfect start. It was Jeremy Pino's sliced clearance falling straight to Rui Bal, and how about that for a finish? Just 2 minutes gone. Betis were off to the dream start. First goal of the La Liga season for the fullback. Marcelino will not be happy with Jeremy Pino's clearance. That was a fine finish all the same. Dreadful start then for the visitors. Villarreal were forced to defend with Ruiz Jr. here, saving down low from Jesus Rodriguez. Villarreal are always the threat from set pieces. Here it was Foyth taking down Parejo corner. The ball pinballing around the penalty area before falling to Tierno Barry. He slotted home in style. He's 13th of the season, 25 minutes gone, and the two sides were back level. Villarreal showing real character to get themselves back in the game. There was a Comasanya back heel. That was cleared in the direction of the young French forward. And we were back level. Isco played in Anthony here. He looked to see if he had options before cutting inside and testing the Villarreal goalkeeper. Well, Pellegrini facing his former club, of course. Anthony here aimed for Cucho's head. Again, it was another sliced clearance. This time by Comasanya before it fell to Isco. His acrobatics brought the Benito Villamarín into his corner once again, but it was over the crossbar. And Ayoze Perez booed with his every touch by his former side. He was agonisingly close to bringing Villarreal a 2-1 lead. We moved into the second period, just 2 minutes in. And how about this for a pass from Dani Parejo? And who was it going to be? Ayoze Perez, who didn't celebrate his goal. He got a 13th goal of his own of the season for his new club. Parejo spotting the run. Nathan hadn't followed Perez, and Adrian was beaten through his legs. Fine delivery though from Parejo. Beautiful assist, beautiful takedown, and a good finish. And Villarreal could have had a third. Parejo following up his assist with his strike, ricocheted the post. And Betis then were forced to try and summon an equaliser of their own. And this was a penalty given by Pulido Santana for a foul on the substitute Lo Celso by Logan Costa. However, he had a look in the monitor and annulled the penalty. And here Villarreal with Cardona could have put the game to bed. Tierno Barry was lurking. It stayed at 2-1. Betis was still in the game and they should have been level here. Lo Celso and Isco, the flair players combining. Isco punching the ground in frustration after he put that gilt-edged chance wide. Beautiful pass. Just wide of that post. Perraud had a final header near the end. Isco had the cross. Perraud almost had the finish. But it was Betis who would go home empty-handed. Villarreal hanging on. 3 huge points for the Yellow Submarine. It finished Betis 1, Villarreal 2.
Mallorca pick up all 3 points in the Real Arena to climb above Real Sociedad in the table and give themselves a boost as they try and make it into Europe for next season. Arrasati, former Real Sociedad manager, of course, up against his old club. And Imanol Alguacil's team coming into this game off the back of a good run of 3 games. 2 of them have ended, or had ended, in victories in La Liga, and that epic cup semi-final second leg against Real Sociedad. And things started well enough. Oyarzabal had the ball in the back of the net from Barrenechea's cross. He was just the wrong side of Pablo Maffeo, so it didn't count. That was pretty much as good as it got for Real Sociedad. Downhill from then on in. This mistake from Barrenechea, he gifts the ball to Darder. Darder slips it through to Larin, and with a little bit of help from Aaron Burrow sliding in, it goes over the line for the opening goal of the game. Carl Larin is accredited with the goal. It's his first of 2025, his 6th of the season. And Mallorca were in control of the game. Ramiro got a boot end to it, but not enough to turn it round the far post. So how would Real Sociedad respond? Pablo Marin with this shot, well saved by Greif. Barrenechea laying this one off to Sukic, and this time it's Oyarzabal with the shot, and down to his other post. Greif makes the save once more. Sukic into Kubo. Kubo's shot not forcing a save from Dominic Greif. And here comes goal number 2. It's Sergi Darder there with it, and plenty of fault to pick with the way that Real Sociedad defended that. Not least Ramiro, who let the shot squirm under his body. It went through the legs of Aritz Elizondo, but really it's all about the fact that Darder there had so much time and space once again. Drifting in from the left, his first goal of the season, 2-0 to Mallorca. This was their best opportunity in the second half. John Martin, powerful header down into the ground and tipped over the top by Dominic Greif. But often it looked more like Mallorca to make it 3-0 as opposed to Real Sociedad narrowing the margin. Substitute Abden Prats not making the most of this opportunity created for him by Mojica. Referee was busy at the end of the game. A little bit of pushing and shoving, and he ended up showing the yellow card. It appeared to Martin Zubimendi. José Luis Munira Montero, the referee. There was no way back into the game for Real Sociedad. This was their last opportunity. Substitute Mares Correna curling this one to the back post. He came on in the second half and looked lively. Only scored once this season off the bench. Still time for an overhead kick from Martin Zubimendi, but Greif threw his hat on it, and Mallorca were able to celebrate on the final whistle. Final score in the Real Arena: Real Sociedad 0, Mallorca 2.
At Balaidos, Celta Vigo look to move closer to European football, and Espanyol look to move further away from the relegation zone. They met in a thrilling game on Matchday 31. Alfon Gonzalez had the first chance for Celta Vigo. Tried to pass the ball into the net. Juan Garcia got down to make the save. was Espanyol who opened the scoring just before the half hour. Alberto Fernandez with his latest goal for Los Pericos, sliding in to meet the pass from Javi Puado. Espanyol had another chance with this cutback. Edu Exposito forced a save from Vicente Guaita that was pushed over the top. The second half, this opportunity came Celta Vigo's way. Joan Garcia got down to save from Pablo Duran. Celta attacked again. The Alfon Gonzalez ball across was met by Iago Aspas. Garcia made another tremendous save. What was the final contribution in the game of Celta Vigo's captain? After Aspas had been taken off, a long ball was sent forward by Leandro Cabrera. Failing to deal with that, Carlos Dominguez gave the ball away to Roberto Fernandez. He got his second of the game just past the hour. Made things a little bit more comfortable for Espanyol. Celta continued to attack. For Gonzalez had a low shot pushed out by Garcia. Yellow card for Javi Puado means he will be suspended for a big game for Espanyol against Getafe on match day 32. There are still chances for Celta before the end. None better than that for Fer Lopez. He clanged the ball off the crossbar, having darted inside. Moribas, a ball across was met by Lopez again. This time around, he could not keep the ball down. He fired over the top as the game ended in defeat for Celta Vigo. The final score, Celta 0, Espanyol 2. Las Palmas clinched a vital victory in their fight for LaLiga survival. Fabio Silva's brace dominated the headlines after the match, but the win began to take shape with a stunning save, where the main protagonist was none other than Dinko Orkash. With the score at 1-0, Getafe could have almost killed the game off, but the Croatian goalkeeper prevented that with a double save. First, he deflected a shot from Luis Milla with his fingertips. Then he quickly dropped to Juanmi's feet to prevent the Andalusian forward from scoring. A strong, courageous intervention changed the tide of the match, as Orca showed that despite Jesper Silason's absence through injury, the Las Palmas goal is in safe hands. sides whose form since the start of the new year had taken a turn for the worst met at El Sadar in the early Sunday kickoff. It was Osasuna against Girona. Both sides in danger of falling into the relegation zone. Things opened up with a header wide by Ante Budimir after Gazzaniga had got his hands to a cross. From there, Danjuma had a goal disallowed for offside. Herrera had to tip a free kick over the top. Girona were having some good chances in the first half. Were unable to convert them into goals. This save from Artur by Herrera kept things goalless. And a header by Ante Budimir at the near post, took his tally for the season up to 16 and put Osasuna into the lead. More chances followed for Girona though towards the end of the first period. Sigankov cut inside and shot just wide. Sigankov brought one back as well for Danjuma. His deflected strike went over the crossbar. Second half, a left-footed delivery wide from substitute Asprilla provided another warning for Osasuna. Right-footed delivery parried by Herrera, was put in by Christian Stuani. However, he was in an offside position, just by half a shoulder. The goal would not stand. Ibanez got Osasuna's second, his first goal in La Liga since December of 2023. A left-footed drive out of the reach of Paulo Gazzaniga, making things a little bit more comfortable for Osasuna. Did need that second goal because Asprilla scored for Girona from square on to take the score to 2-1. In the end, it proved to be just a consolation goal. The final score: Osasuna 2, Girona 1.
A night at the Coliseum where Las Palmas needed to turn things around, and not just because of their season, but in the game as well. It started in the rain and it ended in the sunshine, perhaps somewhat emblematic of the way Las Palmas' season has gone. Without a win in 2025, but they would soon change that. First, though, Omar Alderete, 20 minutes into proceedings, scores a goal that was initially given as an offside, but then VAR would overturn it. He was onside in this case, and Getafe, after 20 minutes of nothing, not a single shot, let alone shot on target, go ahead 1-0, and it's looking good for them, and Las Palmas are looking completely lost. Getafe get the goal to go in front. Bordalas approves. It's the first goal for Alderete of the season. In fact, his first since May of 2023, 2 seasons ago. And the Paraguayan, with a picture-perfect header, gets it beyond Dinko Horkash, the Las Palmas keeper. And they almost had a second one, did Getafe, with a couple of half-hearted efforts and one excellent save from Horkash kept Getafe from grabbing that second goal. It comes on this layoff here for Luis Milla, and how about that for a stop? And he stops the follow-up as well from Juanmi. One of the saves of the week, it's got to be. That first one, as he brushes it aside, was not the only one that he had to make. Later, recycling it back up, and it was all about Milla just being in the right spot, but Horkash's save, well worth it. The game would change, though, because Las Palmas didn't have much to show for the first half hour. That was their first real chance, if you want to call it that. Sandro with a worm burner stopped by David Soria, but the game would change here on a moment between Viti and Diego Rico. This challenge by Rico, which was ultimately seen out as a corner, was then looked at, and that straight leg spike would send Rico to an early shower. Initially given as a yellow, but then overturned to a red by Javier Alberola Rojas, and Getafe would play the rest of this game with 10 men. Las Palmas didn't do anything with it in the first half. Those 15 minutes after they had a man advantage, that was the best chance from Ali McBurney, but things changed in the second half. They found their moments, and the first one came from Fabio Silva, one of the only guys scoring goals for Las Palmas all year. He's got quality in his boots, and he shows you how, with that wonderful turn, his 9th goal of the season, to bring us back to level terms, and the momentum kept on rolling for Las Palmas. How about this for a first touch? Mika Marmol, Alberto Moledo, a halftime substitute, and Ali McBurney. Second goal in as many weeks after not having scored in La Liga all season, and he gives Las Palmas the lead. It was a beautiful team goal. Moledo, one of 2 halftime subs, along with Marvin Park. They looked like a different team in the second half. McBurney scores, and it was all done and dusted, but a third one wouldn't hurt, and of course it had to be Silva over the top. It was Manu Fuster's outside of the boot deep ball that ultimately sent us to our conclusion. 10th of the season then for Silva, double digits. This is the pass from Fuster. Silva with a brace, and the Las Palmas fans go back to the Canary Islands thrilled as they started the day 4 points back of safety, but this victory, with Leganés and Alavés still to play, bring them within 1 point of safety. It ends Getafe 1, Las Palmas 3.
Matchday 31 in La Liga EA Sports kicked off with the game between Valencia and Sevilla at Mestalla. Valencia were looking to pick up a 3rd consecutive victory, while Sevilla were looking to avoid a 4th consecutive defeat. Sevilla started the better of the 2 sides. Albert Sambi Lakonga with the first shot on target, but he was denied by Georgi Mamardashvili. Minutes later, Sevilla were then awarded a penalty following the challenge from José Gallá. It looked like Gallá initially got the ball, and it was checked by VAR. Peque was onside, as we see here. But then having another look at the replay, José Gallá does indeed get the ball. He does then clip Peque, but he got the ball first. And after checking the VAR screen, the referee, José María Sánchez Martínez, would overturn the decision. Sevilla then thought they'd taken the lead through Sambi Lakonga as he scored from a corner. However, it was ruled out because Luque Bacchio's corner had crossed the white line. He'd put too much whip on the ball, and it resulted in a goal kick rather than the opener for Sevilla. Valencia had this chance here. This was their first chance of the game, and it was in the final minutes, in fact, of the first half. A good ball in from Diego Lopez. Loic Badet's clearance incredibly coming off the crossbar. And then Jose Galla's second effort just kept out by Nerland. Isaac Romero put this counter-attack for Sevilla just the wrong side of the post. It was a golden opportunity for his side to take the lead, but the chance went begging. Who did take his chance, though, was Javi Guerra with the final kick of the first half. Guerra scoring his second La Liga goal of the season and scoring what would ultimately turn out to be the match winner. This was the challenge on Romero at the other end of the pitch in the build-up to the goal. That's why there was controversy as to whether the goal would stand or not. The referee decided it was not a foul on Romero in the other box, and therefore Guerra's goal would count. And Los Che went into half-time with a 1-0 lead. Images now of the second 45, and just about 90 seconds in to the second half, Javi Guerra was shown a yellow card for fouling Dodi Lukebakio from behind. Took a couple of swipes at Lukebakio and was lucky, really, that it was only a yellow card. Valencia kept on pushing, and Javi Guerra almost got his and Valencia's second goal of the night after being set up by a Umar Sadiq back heel. But Nerland did well to help the ball onto the crossbar. It was Sambi Lokonga who had Sevilla's first chance of the second half. Similar to the first, a shot from outside the box, but same result as the first period. Mamardashvili making a big save. Hugo Duro was then brought on, and he had this golden opportunity to make it 2-0. But his initial shot and Diego Lopez's second effort were both kept out by Sevilla's keeper. His header from a corner also required a big save from Nerland, and that would ultimately see Valencia hold on to all 3 points. But towards the end, it ended Valencia 1, Sevilla 0.
Since his arrival during the winter transfer window, Alberto Fernandez has made a big impact on Espanyol. And his performance could be one of the keys to saving Los Pericos. He has already scored 5 goals in 12 matches, has found the net in both of the Catalan side's consecutive away wins. And this weekend he scored his first La Liga double to give Manolo Gonzalez's side 3 points on their visit to Abanca Balaidos. Half an hour into the match, he took advantage of a great assist from Javi Puado to poke in a shot with the toe of his boot. And in the second half, with Celta Vigo all set on searching for an equaliser, the number 2 was alert to take advantage of a defensive mix-up and score his second. 2 shots and 2 goals produced maximum effectiveness from an absolutely lethal Roberto Fernandez, who brings Espanyol closer to survival. These are the weekend results from Matchday 31 of the La Liga EA Sports season. A matchday that kicked off with Valencia winning 1-0 against Sevilla. And was a 1-0 triumph on the road for Barcelona against Leganés and for Real Madrid against Alaves, whilst Villarreal 1-2-1 at the Benito Villamarin against Real Betis. Athletic Club were 3-1 winners over Rayo Vallecano at home, and the matchday comes to a close on Monday night with Atletico Madrid against Valladolid. Barcelona remain top of the table with a 4-point lead over Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid and Athletic Club complete the top 4. The top 7 is rounded off by Villarreal, Real Betis and Celta Vigo. At the bottom it's Valladolid, Leganés and Las Palmas in the relegation zone. Here's what's coming up on Matchday 32. We kick things off with Espanyol against Getafe on Friday night. From there, there's Barcelona against Celta Vigo. Las Palmas hosting Atletico Madrid. Villarreal against Real Sociedad. Sevilla against Alaves. Real Madrid hosting Athletic Club. And a Monday night fixture between Girona and Real Betis.